Pakistan, a land where civilization has thrived for over 5,000 years, shrouded in mystery and wonder. This country, rich in history and culture, continues to captivate those who visit, leaving them with an undeniable urge to return. Hidden within its vast landscapes lie breathtaking treasures untouched by time, waiting to be explored. From ancient ruins to awe-inspiring natural wonders, Pakistan is a destination like no other. Strange landscapes and cultures that seem to be from another planet are common. Come along with us as we explore the most well-preserved and mysterious sites in Pakistan. Getting to know the Pakistan and all the things that make it special and interesting. Belonging to a vast necropolis that contains the resting places of notable religious and historical personalities, the mausoleum of Bibi Jandi dates back to the 15th century. Its use of baked bricks and geometrically placed blue and white glazed tiles for decoration is reminiscent of Islamic funerary architecture. According to its name, it is the last resting place of Bibi Jandi, a revered and powerful woman who may have been connected to a notable religious family. Among the tallest waterfalls in the area is the Mantoka waterfall, which is situated approximately 1 hour away from Skardu. It continues to flow steadily as it drops from a height of about 55 meters, fed by glacier waters. The region around it is particularly suitable for small-scale farming and cattle grazing since water accumulates in a transparent lake near the base. On the other hand, the hilltop Karpocho Fort, often known as the King of Forts, dates back to the 16th century and provides sweeping views of the city below. The lords of Skardu constructed the fort as a defensive fortress and trade route monitor. Despite being in a state of partial ruin, it provides breathtaking views of the surrounding mountains, valleys, and the Kapana Desert. Skardu is well known as a starting point for excursions to some of the highest mountain ranges on Earth. It has long served as a cultural and commercial crossroads, linking Central Asia and South Asia with its majestic mountains, tranquil lakes, and long history of custom. Among its many historical and natural attractions are the Karpocho Fort and the Mantoka waterfall. The lake is also a major selling point for the Shangri-La Resort, which is right on its banks. The Shangri-La Resort, which opened to the public in 1983, takes its name from the legendary Shangri-La found in Lost Horizon, a book written by James Hilton. The resort, which goes by more names than just Heaven on Earth, features chalets and boats. Additionally, it has a restaurant that is actually an old airplane. Waste management and conservation education initiatives are only two examples of how the resort is working to lessen its impact on the environment and protect the area's natural splendor. At over 2,300 meters above sea level, the Sarfaranga coal desert is one of the world's highest coal deserts. Its otherworldly scenery is defined by enormous sand dunes and the snow-capped mountains that surround them. The venue is home to the annual Jeep Rally, a well-known motorsport that was started with the intention of attracting tourists. A variety of categories, including professional drivers, amateurs, and local competitors, will find something to push themselves on this course, thanks to the rough terrain. In the Kapana Desert, noted for its wind-shaped enormous sand dunes, you may find snow-capped mountains all around. Desolate dunes blanketed in snow and ice in winter are a sign of the consistently chilly weather that characterizes this desert. The warm summers make it a special place for locals and tourists alike. Historically, the desert was located along trade routes that linked more distant mountain areas to bigger trading centers. The fact that it is just 20 kilometers from Skardu makes it quite convenient for road travel. The hilly terrain is home to the Kaplu Palace, a royal house from the 19th century, which is close to the desert. As a princely kingdom under the Yabgo dynasty, the Kaplu Palace was ruled from this location. The old palace is a monument to the skilled local artisans who built it, drawing inspiration from Tibetan and Kashmiri traditions. Nestled in the foothills of Rocky Mountains and fringed with towering pine trees, Upper Kachura Lake is an idyllic natural gem. A constant chill permeates the air since it receives its water supply from glacial meltwater and adjacent streams. Even though it has only lately become popular as an ecotourism site, the lake is nevertheless important to the locals who live there because of the resources it provides. Included in the larger Kachura region are Upper Kachura Lake and Lower Kachura Lake. In the meanwhile, the beautiful heart-shaped Lower Kachura Lake is well known for its easy accessibility and tranquil surroundings. Local communities engage in farming and grazing, just like its upper counterpart. It is part of a greater cultural environment. The lake itself is undeveloped, but tiered gardens and walkways are man-made additions to the landscape. Over 3,000 square kilometers of broad plains, rolling hills, and breathtaking landscape make up DSI National Park, often known as the Land of Giants. The park has one of the world's highest plateaus. Aside from the lack of trees, it supports a unique environment and is inhabited by rare animals. In the summer, the plateau becomes a verdant alpine meadow as it is carpeted with wildflowers. The Himalayan brown bear, among the rarest and most endangered bear species on Earth, relies on this park as its primary habitat. This subspecies of brown bear, easily recognized by its unique reddish-brown fur, hails from the Himalayas and the areas around them. They eat mostly plants and insects, but will also eat tiny animals and, occasionally, animal bones, since they are omnivores. These solitary bears come alive in the summer when food is abundant before going into hibernation for the long, cold winter. The park has become an ecological hotspot due to conservation efforts involving this endangered species. In the heart of the Khalistan Desert stands the enormous Darawar Fort. It was established in the 9th century by a Hindu Rajput king of the Patti dynasty. In the 18th century, the Abbasi family took it over and restored it. 40 massive bastions and brick and clay walls make up the square shape of the fort. Its advantageous location allowed it to both protect trade routes and exert administrative control over the neighboring desert during its heyday. The fort has suffered erosion and structural deterioration due to decades of exposure to the severe desert elements, and unfortunately, there have been minimal efforts to preserve it. At 8,126 meters above sea level, Nanga Parbat, also called the Killer Mountain, is the 9th highest summit on Earth. Situated in the Himalayas, the name literally translates to Naked Mountain, due to the mountain's bare slopes. Climbing this mountain is no easy feat, because to its massive size and steep vertical relief. Among the factors that contribute to the high percentage of climber fatalities are the extreme weather, unpredictable avalanches, and demanding technical climbing requirements. The mountain's location in the Indian and Eurasian tectonic plate collision zone makes it an interesting subject of current geological studies. This action has aided in the area's distinctive geology and quick uplift. From its lofty perch on the mountain's northern slope, the enormous Rycote Glacier drops precipitously into the valley of the same name. The mountain's snow fields are the source of the glacier, which forms a natural ice and debris flowway. As a part of the journey to the base camp on the mountain's northern face, hikers must traverse rugged moraines and icy patches. Research on glacial dynamics, climate change, and its impacts on ecosystems at high altitudes is also conducted on the glacier. A high-altitude alpine meadow that provides one of the greatest views of the mountain is the Fairy Meadows, which is situated close to the foot of the northern slope. The area's mystical and tranquil reputation in local legend is the inspiration for its moniker. A handful of local shepherds and peasants remain true to their traditional ways of life while warmly welcoming tourists to their region. Along with other cities in the area, Multan boasts a long history of continuous human habitation. Renowned for its rich history, sacred Sufi sites, and long-standing cultural and commercial ties. Long revered as a religious and spiritual epicenter, this Punjabi city has been called the City of Saints. With a history stretching back to at least 5000 BCE, it was a significant city under several dynasties, including the Kushans and the Mughals, and a major settlement during the Indus Valley Civilization. Beloved for his profound spiritual teachings and profound impact, the 14th century Sufi mystic Shah Rukni Alam was laid to rest in this enormous mausoleum. Its elaborate brickwork and Islamic design make it one of the region's most recognizable landmarks. The octagonal red brick tomb previously had a reputation as having one of the biggest domes in all of Islam. Ghiyasuddin Tughlaq, the first emperor of the Tughlaq dynasty, had it constructed between 1320 and 1324. He had planned to use it as his personal tomb, but the saint's burial took precedence. As its name suggests, Neelam Valley is a mountainous valley that stretches alongside a river. Because the river has a sapphire-like hue, its name means sapphire in Sanskrit. Adorable towns, terraced crops, and dense forests border its slopes. Because of its location along old trade routes, the valley has always played a pivotal role in international politics. Arunk Kel is one of the valley's settlements. It's known as the Pearl of Neelam Valley. The settlement is situated on a hilltop with a view of the Neelam River and may be reached from the neighboring village of Kel by a short hike or a cable car ride. Another option is the pristine high-altitude Lake Chitterkatha, which is often hailed as one of the most beautiful in the area. The glacial streams that contribute to the lake's water supply are called white streams because of the way they look as they flow down from the snow-capped mountains that surround it. The natives revere it and include it in their stories and rituals. Actually, many consider a pilgrimage to the lake because of the strong spiritual associations people have with it. With a long and illustrious history that includes many literary and artistic figures, Lahore is among the region's most ancient and historically important cities. From the Mughals to the Sikhs and the British, the city has also served as a hub for multiple empires. The enormous and historically significant Lahore Fort is smack dab in the middle of the city. The fort has been around since at least the 11th century, but it was during the reign of Mughal Emperor Akbar in the late 16th century that it saw its most notable expansion. Subsequent Sikh and British monarchs made more alterations, culminating in a fusion of architectural and artistic styles. Restoration efforts are continuing, so even though some sections are in ruins, the heritage will live on. A memorial honoring the founder of the Sikh Empire in the early 19th century, the Samadhi of Maharaja Ranjit Singh Ji, is housed within the fort. The Samadhi encompasses Sikh, Hindu, and Mughal architectural features. It was built subsequent to his 1839 death. The Minar-e-Pakistan Monument, a memorial to national unity and freedom, can be seen in the backdrop. An important turning point in the history of the region, the Lahore Resolution of 1940 demanded the establishment of an independent state, and this structure was erected in commemoration of that event. The monument's current site was the site of the resolution's presentation on March 23, 1940. The monument, which was created by architect Nasreddin Murat Khan, combines modern, Islamic, and Mughal styles. The Badshahi Mosque, a prominent regional landmark and one of the biggest mosques in the area, is located in the city. It was a representation of the Mughal piety and authority built during the reign of Emperor Aurangzeb, who had the longest rule of any Mughal emperor. Being one of the biggest mosques on the planet, it has the capacity to host more than 100,000 worshippers in its courtyard and prayer hall. The building's primary material is red sandstone, but it features elaborate patterns and inscriptions carved from white marble inlays. It is still a cultural icon and a place of worship today. With an area of more than 6,100 square kilometers, Hingle National Park easily surpasses all of the other regional parks. Its distinctive geological features, arid landscapes, and coastal habitats have brought it widespread renown. a major halt on the Silk Road, the hilly Hunza Valley is now shrouded in cliffs and nourished by glacial rivers. The land is still inhabited by the indigenous Hunza people, who have made a name for themselves via their nomadic farming and plant-based cuisine. Notable among Hunza's inhabitants is the Baru-Shaski language, which has no known linguistic cousins and is both ancient and distinct. The present-day capital of the Hunza province is the town of Karimabad in the Hunza Valley, which was formerly the seat of royal rule. The town's high-altitude location influences its climate, causing it to experience 4 distinct seasons. Warm summers, chilly winters, and a kaleidoscope of changing foliage are its most distinctive features. Perched precariously on the cliffs along the glacially fed Hunza River, it provides a picturesque setting. The Baltit Fort, the royal residence of Hunza for 700 years, sits above Karimabad. With its architecture that strongly resembles that of Tibet and Central Asia, it offers breathtaking views of the valley. Built to endure severe weather and earthquakes, the fort is constructed from stone, mud, and timber. One important element in seismic locations is the use of hardwood beams, which provide flexibility to the construction. Another option is the Altit Fort, which is even more ancient at over 900 years old and is widely regarded as one of the oldest forts in the area. People think that the first Hunza monarchs built it to use as a fortification before moving their capital to the Baltit Fort. Among its most striking characteristics is the historic watchtower, which served as a lookout post over the river and valley below. The interior of the fort is multi-story and functionally organized with narrow passages, small chambers, and steep staircases. Among the world's most perilous bridges, the Hussaini Suspension Bridge spans the Hunza River. It links Hussaini to other towns and is regularly repaired by residents to keep it in good working order. Yet, crossing it is difficult because of its swaying and the wide spaces between the boards. A huge landslide in January 2010 created the beautiful turquoise at Bad Lake, submerging neighboring settlements and roads. The landslide formed a natural dam by blocking the flow of the Hunza River. Despite its terrible beginnings, the lake is today famous for its stunning color, which is a result of the minerals that mix with the water from glacier runoff. Its length is about 21 kilometers, and its depth can be more than 100 meters, depending on the time of year when glaciers melt. A group of jagged, triangle peaks in the Karakoram Mountains is known as the Pasu Cones. Erosion and glaciation worked together over many millennia to form their distinctive pointed cone shape. Due to the technical problems posed by their steep ridges, many of the cones remain unclimbed, despite their remarkable appearance. Because they seem like the spires of a Gothic cathedral, the cones are sometimes called Cathedral Ridge. The Pasu Glacier, to the north of the cones, is a notable glacier in the area known for its accessibility and its influence in creating the terrain around it. A rough ice field characterized by ridges, crevasses, and a terminus laden with moraine forms at the point where the glacier's flow meets the valley floor. Also, apricots, cherries, and almonds are grown on terraced fields in the valley using glacier meltwater as an irrigation source. The glacier provides essential resources for the Wakhi-speaking people of Pasa village, who use them for farming and raising cattle. Sher Shah Suri, ruler of Afghanistan in the 16th century, fortified his control of the area by constructing Rohtas Fort, a fortification. Designed to keep the surrounding Ghakkar tribes under Mughal rule and prevent the return of the Mughal emperor, this fortress is famous for its enormous walls and elaborate entrances. In comparison to other buildings of the same period, the fort is in very good condition today. A thriving metropolis that is also a center for commerce, industry, and education, Karachi is the biggest city in Pakistan. Karachi, a little fishing village that expanded into a major port in the 18th and 19th centuries, is where it all began. Given its advantageous position on the Arabian Sea, the city flourished as a trading hub during British administration, thanks to the development of ports and railways that facilitated its expansion. The city is home to the Mazar-e-Quaid, the tomb where the nation's founder, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, is laid to rest. The white marble mausoleum, with its curved arches and massive copper dome, is a modernist masterpiece by architect Yahya Merchant. Ski resorts and picturesque alpine forests have brought Nalta Valley international renown. During the winter months, skiers flock to the valley, which is home to one of the region's oldest ski resorts. It may be reached by vehicle from Gilgit City along a winding road that passes through tough terrain but provides breathtaking scenery. A group of alpine lakes known as the Nalta Lakes are located in the valley. The natural filtering by the rocks and sediments around them keeps contaminants out, which is why their waters reflect a wide range of colors. Bashkiria Lakes, with their striking blue hues, are among its most recognizable features. With dense pine and cedar forests encircling the lakes, the area around them is mostly unbroken. Geographical and political significance have molded the history of Muzaffarabad, a city that serves as both an administrative and cultural hub. The 17th century bastion was founded by Sultan Muzaffar Khan, a chief of the Bomba dynasty. His name is the source of the fort's name. It is now the administrative center of Azad Kashmir, a province that is part of Pakistan but is technically autonomous. The Princess of Hope, a carved rock structure that looks like a robed woman and has been shaped by wind and erosion over millennia, is one of the most famous landmarks there. During her 2002 visit to the region, Hollywood actress Angelina Jolie bestowed the name. Islamabad, the capital of Pakistan, is well known for its abundance of open space and cutting-edge architecture. Its creator, the Greek Konstantinos Apostolodoxialis, envisioned it as a replacement for Karachi in the 1960s. Its design prioritizes harmony, zoning, and harmony with surrounding natural environments. The Faisal Mosque, built with a donation of $120 million by King Faisal of Saudi Arabia, is one of the city's most recognizable symbols. Inspired by a Bedouin tent, the design, which was completed in 1986, exhibits a modernist approach to Islamic architecture. With its tent-like design, triangular prayer hall, and 4 lofty minarets, the Faisal Mosque stands in stark contrast to conventional mosques topped with domes. The 490-meter-tall minarets take their design cues from traditional Turkish architecture. With its massive prayer hall, courtyards, and surrounding grounds, this mosque can hold more than 100,000 people, making it one of the biggest in the world. The Pakistani National Monument, erected on a hill with a view of the city and dedicated in 2007, stands as a symbol of national pride and cultural variety. The 4 larger petals of the flower stand for the provinces, while the 3 smaller ones symbolize the territories in this monument's flower-shaped design. On an island in the Indus River is the Hindu temple complex known as Sad Bello, which is devoted to the Hindu god, Lord Shiva. It is thought that the Hindu saint Swami Bhakandi Maharaj meditated on the island, and it was on this island that the complex was founded. Because of its religious and historical significance, it attracts devotees and tourists as one of the region's most respected spiritual destinations for the Hindu community. The rugged Swat Valley has long served as a hub for Buddhist scholarship and creative and spiritual flourishing. A major center of Buddhism from the 2nd century BCE to the 7th century CE, it is often called the Switzerland of the East. As a hub for learning, Swat attracted intellectuals and monks from all over Asia under the Kushan Empire. It is worth noting that the area was also impacted by the cultural interactions that occurred there when Alexander the Great came in 327 BC during his campaign. Among the world's most towering and inhospitable mountain ranges, you'll find the Karakoram. It spans 500 miles, encompassing China, India, and Pakistan. Near the Hopa Valley in the range lies a group of glaciers known as the Hopa Glaciers. The loss and movement of the glaciers are closely watched because they provide vital insights into climate change and glacial dynamics. Unique crevice and serac formations are also visible from these peaks, and the vistas of the surrounding landscape are breathtaking. Climbers beginning their ascent of K2 Mountain begin their journey at K2 Base Camp, a lonely and difficult trekking destination. The 12 to 14-day hike requires physical stamina and acclimatization to high altitudes. It spans approximately 150 kilometers in total. The Baltoro Glacier, at 63 kilometers in length, is one of the longest glaciers outside of the polar regions and must be traversed as part of the hike to base camp. It provides magnificent views of nearby peaks and acts as a gateway to expeditions aiming to K2 and others. Lastly, the K2 mountain stands tall and proud as the most famous peak in the Karakoram Range. Famous for being 8,611 meters high, making it the 2nd tallest peak on Earth. K2, sometimes called the Savage Mountain, is one of the most treacherous mountains to climb because of its extreme height, extreme weather, and high mortality rate. Italians Lino Lasardelli and Achille Campagnoni led the first ascent in 1954. In January 2021, a group of Nepalese mountaineers achieved a climbing first. They were the first to successfully ascend K2 in the winter. K2 does not have a localized moniker like many other 8,000-meter peaks. Rather, the Great Trigonometrical Survey of India is the source of its name.